Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another of these incredibly cool Conquest Para Bellum models to take a look at. We have the Thunder Riders. It's actually been a little while since we had some of their work here on the channel, and I am beyond excited to have something new from them, especially when it comes to some Ceratopsians, something that we did not have previously in this line of amazing model kits. We now have 3 different Ceratopsians here, which is super cool. Now, one thing you'll of course notice is that this is a very fantasy style dinosaur set. You can see the Ceratopsians may not look exactly as they would in real life. You can also see that we've got some riders here on our Ceratopsians, so of course we have, you know, that aspect, again, more fantasy involved here, but the entire line as a whole is based around this, you know, conquest, and it's basically like a game and stuff, and these are the miniatures that would be included. It's all extremely cool. I highly recommend checking it out. And now this will be my 3rd or 4th, I forget, 4th, yes, definitely the 4th model that I have now added to my collection, and of course reviewed from Para Bellum. But you can see the box art looks very nice here on the front. You've got some really cool high quality images of the models once they are fully finished and painted. I don't know for sure if I'm going to paint them like they have them or kind of paint them with my own personal style. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. On the bottom you can see some information, and then again pretty much the same thing up here on the top. Over here on the side, you can now see a nice little shot here of the Styracosaurus version here of one of the Ceratopsians. Pretty much the same thing over here. And then some more images here on the back showing some of the aspects. You can see some information over here as well, again, if you want to give that a read. But one thing you'll see here is that it states that these are juvenile Brontoceratops, and those are what the Ceratopsians, even though you can see we have 3 different versions, 3 different species of Ceratopsians, they are all considered Brontoceratops when it comes to this line of super cool figures. So I'm definitely excited to get to work on this because, again, it's been a little while since I had something from them, and I love their models. I think they're some of the coolest stuff out there because they are so different and so unique. So let's pop the box open and check out what we have inside. So once the box is open, you can now see we have a plethora of different parts. Here are the bases for our Ceratopsians, but you've got tons, so I knew they were going to fall out, tons of different pieces here that we will have to assemble, of course, to, you know, get our Ceratopsians in working order. And I don't know, I guess there are 3 different Ceratopsians, so maybe each one of these is a different Ceratopsian. Yes, it definitely looks that way, along with the rider, of course, that would be on top of the Ceratopsian. And then we have the final one again over here. So very cool, very exciting. And you also have this card that is contained within, which you can see states Thunder Riders, and you can see there's a little QR code there if you'd like to scan that and check it out. But definitely nice to have a little collectible card included as well. And then, of course, our instructions back there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to assemble all of these, and then we'll come back and check them out unpainted, just built again before we actually get them finished and painted up. So there we go, we have them all put together, and I'm not going to lie to you guys, even though it was really easy to put them together, there is quite a bit that goes to these, so it does take a little bit of time to actually get them all assembled. But once they are assembled, they look so cool, and that is something that, you know, is pretty consistent through all of the reviews that I've done of these products so far. I love the fantasy style versions of dinosaurs. Not only do these kind of remind you, almost giving you that sort of Dino Riders feel a little bit, I think they more so give me a Dinotopia feel, and that's something that I love because I was a huge fan of the Dinotopia book when I was younger. I also enjoyed the series that was on TV, so having, you know, dinosaur models that are kind of similar to Dinotopia type figures is definitely a very appealing thing for me. And you can see again, you've got different riders for each one, and you also again have some gorgeous Ceratopsian figures. So, as always, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at all 3 of these right now. So first of all, we have the rider, and this is one of the riders that you see on your Ceratopsians. This one here is riding the Styracosaurus, and you can see again, when it comes to his appearance, he looks absolutely awesome. He's got a very mean look on his face, again, exactly what you would expect when going into battle. You can also see he's got a weapon there in his hand, and you can also see that as you move through the course of his body, there's definitely quite a bit to paint, and that, again, is something that I've run into with each of the previous models that I've painted before from the series. You always have these really cool riders that go on the dinosaurs that sport just a massive amount of detail, and some may look at that as being like, wow, that's so much to paint. I look at it as this is going to be an amazing final product once these are actually painted. And you can see again, he's got his legs spread there as he sits on the back of his Styracosaurus, and absolutely has the face of a warrior heading into battle. He's also very muscular, which you will see on all of the riders. But on top of him, you of course have our Styracosaurus, and you can see again when you get nice and close, the detailing looks fantastic. I'm actually really excited to get some paint work on these just to see how nice we can make them look. It's been a little while since I had one of these models in my hands and something I could paint and build. I think the last one that I had potentially were the Raptor Riders, so that was a little ways back. Definitely psyched to get some paint work on these. But you can see again, the beak has some nice detail. You've got the nostrils, you've got some really vibrant scale detail. The horn here looks really good, and there is some very nice fine detail within the horn itself. And these are just built, I haven't covered any seams or anything, so you will see seams as you move through. That's just the way models, like this work, especially plastic model kits. You can see the frill looks great. We have some large scales running down the center there of the frill, much finer scaling as you move closer to the, inside there. And then as you move through, you can see, just like the riders themselves, the Ceratopsians are covered with all sorts of different things here. You've got, of course, the saddle. You also have like these big horns kind of coming off of the back that are attached to the saddle. You can also see again different tools and stuff down here on the side. And of course, the Ceratopsian itself looks great. As you continue to move down, you can see different things like the wrist right here is actually kind of wrapped up. So I don't know if maybe that was an injury or something that occurred at some point to the Styracosaurus. You can see the muscle definition and stuff kind of shining through the different areas, even though they're a little obscured. You get the tail as you lead out here, and a very nice curve as you lead up. And again, you can see it all looks pretty similar over here, but you have a pretty dynamic pose, I think, for the Styracosaurus as he has the legs up and again seems to be kind of charging in, moving in maybe for an attack. And again, absolutely incredible looking. When it comes to fantasy-style dinosaurs, I don't know that anybody does it better. We've also got the rider that I have here on the Nasutoceratops, and you can see he as well looks really cool, and you can really see the muscle definition in the arm of this one. But yet again, he's got that very grumpy look on his face, absolutely means business heading in. He even has a skull here hanging on his chest, leading into his stomach. He's got all sorts of different things here on his side that he's carrying with him. Right there, I don't know if maybe I'm missing something right there. I'll have to look and check before I actually paint him. But as you can see, again, the legs are spread open. He's got his feet here, of course, sculpted out. You can even see the toes themselves are sculpted really nicely. His legs are obviously spread because he's riding on the Ceratopsian. And you can even see wrinkles and creases to his outfit as you move through. His hair is very nicely sculpted. Almost looks like he's got like dreadlocks going on when it comes to his hair. So yet again, another really cool figure when it comes to the rider of the Nasutoceratops. And then you have the Nasutoceratops itself, and you can see the dinosaurs are in different poses. Obviously, the Nasutoceratops seems to be kind of charging in and lunging in. The Styracosaurus was kind of charging. This one definitely seems to be jumping or lunging in for some sort of an attack. You can see the head looks really, really nice and very gorgeous looking. Fine detail when it comes to the overall structure of the head and skull, as well as the skin texture. You've got the beak, again, the nostrils as you lead up. The horns are very nicely sculpted. If my camera would focus on them, you could see very nice fine detail within the horns, sort of similar to the sculpting of the frill, but a little bit different as far as the way it looks. Again, larger scales, but a different style of larger scaling moving down the center of the frill. Finer scales as you move in. Also some pretty large scales on the top of the head right there. Again, the spikes leading around the frill. frill. And then as you continue to move back, you can see more of the nice looking skin texture, as well as, again, all of the different things that are on our Nasutoceratops, like the saddle, the again, horns kind of hanging off of the back here, just like we saw on the other one. You can also see, again, all of the different things here moving down along the side. Also, again, maybe it's not an injury on the other one, because this one also has the wrists sort of wrapped up as you move through. You've got really nicely sculpted toes and toenails, and again, a really nicely sculpted tail. Look how gorgeous the scale detail actually is there on the tail of the Nasutoceratops. Even the undersides are exceptionally well done when it comes to the fine detail. If you're looking for a kit that you're really going to have to, again, put a few rainy days into to come up with a paint job and paint scheme that's really going to impress, I think these are a great way to go, because again, there's just, you could go the fast route and paint these pretty quickly, or you could go ahead and take your time and really create a very, very impressive visual, because there's just so many different things that you can paint on these figures. And probably some of the most impressive detailing I have ever seen. And then the final one would be the rider on the back of this small Triceratops, or at least I believe it's a Triceratops. You can see he looks pretty similar to the other one, kind of similar as far as his hat. Definitely has that sort of like dreadlock look going on here. He as well is wearing a skull there on his chest, though it looks a little different compared to the other one. Again, he's in a different position. You can see how his whole body is contorted here. He's twisted, obviously fighting somebody or something off. Very muscular yet again, just like the other ones. And you can see again a weapon in his hand. Obviously it's some sort of like an axe sort of thing, or it's got like spikes, and I don't know, I wouldn't want to get hit with it though, I know that much. And you can see this arm is held out as well, or you could if my camera would focus on it. Again, he's in his bare feet, but he has his feet sort of wrapped up. Again, if my camera would focus on it, really doesn't want to. I don't know why, because he's so small, I guess maybe. But again, the outfit, you could see all the movement and everything shown really nicely in the sculpt of the rider yet again. And then the final piece of the puzzle here would be this Ceratopsian, which you can now see again sports just as impressive detail as the others did. The nostrils sculpted, the eyes sculpted really beautifully. The fine detail honestly looks incredible. Like, just look at the beak and all the kind of cracks and crevices in the beak. That is unbelievably impressive. Same deal for the horns as you move up here. And again, the same deal as you lead up into the frill. The frill looks a little different when it comes to the fine detail compared to the others on the Triceratops version. We also have a bit more of a calm sort of visual for this one. It doesn't look like it's charging or running quite as, as much as the other two were. This one looks like maybe it's just walking more so than the others, or maybe, a small jog as it moves in. Has all the same sort of stuff again with the saddle up here, again the spikes, but I don't remember this being on the others. Maybe it was. Maybe I just didn't pay attention to it, actually. I'm starting to think that might have been the case. But again, it looks really impressive overall. Absolutely fantastic sculpt. Absolutely fantastic looking fine detail overall. So I'm really excited to get some paintwork on these guys and take a look at them once the seams are all filled and we have some paintwork making them look a little bit more alive. So let's go ahead, get them painted, and we'll check them out from there. So now everything is painted and built and assembled and ready to go. And here is the Styracosaurus version. Now you'll notice that I didn't do anything super crazy when it comes to the paint apps of these figures, specifically, of course, the dinosaurs themselves. I kind of tried to go for like more bland, sort of naturalistic coloration, similar to what you actually saw painted up by, again, Para Bellum themselves when it comes to their, prototype versions. I kind of tried to go to not exactly the same colors as those, not exactly the same style, but similar for the most part. The Triceratops is a different tone of color entirely, because all of the Ceratopsians, when it comes to the prototypes, were originally brown in the Para Bellum prototype images, but I did paint most of these brown, but again, the Triceratops is a grayish tone. But you can see, again, it looks really cool once you actually add some paintwork to it. You can really see how nice the fine detail is, how nicely it pops, and how realistic it all looks. You can also see all of the extras, again, look super cool once they're all painted out, and everything, again, just honestly looks extremely highly detailed, like on another level of impressive when it comes to the detailing once it's painted out. And again, the Ceratopsian itself is gorgeous. Like, it is a really beautiful looking Styracosaurus filled with extremely high quality detail. And again, it's honestly impressive from every side. No matter where you look at it, it is an absolutely fantastic looking figure. And then we also have the rider that goes on the Styracosaurus. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, there's a chance I may have mixed these guys up. I'm not entirely sure which ones now go with which Ceratopsian, because I guess, was a little bit careless when it comes to placing them on my painting desk. When I was painting them, I didn't keep them with the Ceratopsian they were meant to stay with, so now I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to see if they all sit nicely on the Ceratopsians once we get them put together. But you can see, again, even the riders themselves are exceptional when it comes to the detailing standpoint, and I feel like you probably couldn't tell how highly detailed these were when they were originally, just unpainted and we were taking a closer look at them. But now once they actually have some paintwork on them, they are truly quite the sight to behold. And then we have the Nasutoceratops, and yet again I went with some brownish tones for it. I just feel like having them kind of similar to the way that they looked on the original prototypes was a fun way to go. But you can see, again, it is very impressive when it comes to the fine detailing aspect, and that is the same case as you move through the entire figure. It is really, really highly detailed, and that is just putting it mildly. I love how even out here on the tail they have like these larger areas of scales moving through. Just gives them a very nice look overall, but also, again, that unique sort of Para Bellum style, which is something that their dinosaur models always have. But again, it is an absolutely gorgeous Nasutoceratops, and I love the fact that they've gone ahead and created numerous different Ceratopsians. I just think that was a really cool idea to go ahead and crack out a few different Ceratopsians in one shot for these releases, rather than just giving us 3 of the same Ceratopsian. And again, here's another one of the riders. You can see even the weapons that they carry are so cool looking. You can see, again, really impressive when it comes to the overall visual of what we have going on here. It just creates such an epic scene. If you are into fantasy style dinosaurs, or in this case, again, just fantasy style creatures and things like this in general, you're not going to find better models than what you find with the Para Bellum line. Just look at how incredible that looks, and there's just so much life in the model itself, considering like the way that it's positioned as it's riding along on the Ceratopsian. It just looks absolutely fantastic. Then we also have the Triceratops, which is the only one that I kind of strayed from the brownish color scheme to kind of give it, a little bit of a different look to it. I kind of wanted to just have one that sort of stood out as a little bit different looking overall, and you can see, again, we've got some nice grayish tones for the Triceratops, and just like with the others, it looks absolutely as epic as it gets when it comes to the sculpt and fine detail, and once you add a little paintwork to it, I really think, again, it looks super, super cool. I don't know if this is actually meant to be a crack in the frill up here, or if that's just like, of course, the way it was assembled, and it kind of gives it this crack where it looks like the frill is broken a little bit. I just love that. I really, really love little things like that. But again, the Triceratops looks absolutely fantastic. All of the extras look so cool once it's all painted out and you really try to bring everything to life. There's just so much on these models that, you have to paint and everything to make them look as high quality as it gets. But boy, is it ever an impressive payoff once it's done. They are just amazing, just like every other one of these Para Bellum models that I've had so far. Probably some of the coolest dinosaur kits that I have in my collection, and of course the entire idea of modern day plastic dinosaur kits. That's just so awesome because it's not something we get very often. And then again, we also have the final rider here, and you have your choice as you're putting them together to choose like different limbs, different heads. You have all sorts of different things you can do with them so that they don't have to look exactly as they do on the prototype. They don't have to look exactly as they do on the box or anything. You can really choose to go whatever route you want. You can choose to go whatever colors you want. Of course, I took some artistic liberties with mine as far as the colorations go. I didn't exactly replicate what you saw in the box because I always like to add my own little flair to them if I can, and of course switch them up, make them, something that comes from my mind, not just replicating what I see in the box. But he as well looks really, really cool, and I'm honestly super psyched to get these on the Ceratopsians themselves because I actually have not done that since I painted them. So let's go ahead and do that, and we'll check them out from there. So there we are. Our Ceratopsians are now on the little bases that they come with, and they look absolutely phenomenal, though there are some things that I'm going to need to work out, of course, before I'm fully finished with them, because as you can see, some of them are in pretty dynamic poses, which I think is going to require me to glue them to the base just so I can get them standing exactly as they should be. And of course I will do that before the end of the review, but we are basically just setting them on each other here again, setting them on the bases, the riders on top, just to kind of get a look at what they look like fully finished and everything. But as far as a size goes, I'm not really sure how to go about this. I think we'll just move these two out of the way and we'll measure only one, which in this case will be the Nasutoceratops. So for a length, you are looking at, I would say, about probably around the 5-inch mark, or around 12.5 centimeters, closing in on 13. That's kind of a rough measurement because there's like so much going on here that it's like hard to really get around it to get an exact measurement. There's just like, you know, pieces sticking out from the side. It's just going to be way too hard to really get it perfect. And then as far as the height, and of course this is with it on the base, the highest point would be the weapon, about 4.5 inches or around 11.5 centimeters. Now those measurements, as I said, are not absolutely perfect, but for a size comparison to kind of help to give you an idea of the size, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being here next to our Ceratopsians from the Para Bellum line, and you can very clearly see that, again, size-wise, they are not huge by any means. They're actually pretty small overall, and, you know, they're kind of in the size range I would expect them to be, though I am still impressed to see that they're kind of similar in size almost to the raptors that they had released, if I remember correctly. It's been a little while since I actually had taken a look at those, so I'll have to check them out then. But the Ceratopsians overall are, you know, kind of on the smaller side. And then when it comes to another random comparison, we have a Mattel Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus stepping in here for a size next to these Para Bellum Ceratopsians. And then for another size comparison that I think should really help to put into perspective the size of these Ceratopsians, we have the Schleich Diabloceratops. Now, if you take a look at the Diabloceratops there from Schleich next to the Nasutoceratops from Para Bellum, you can see that they are a little bit smaller than the Schleich Diabloceratops. Not a whole lot, but definitely a little bit smaller, so that should definitely, again, help to iron out the fact that these are a bit smaller than your average Ceratopsian figure. And then again, another comparison here with the How Long Good Nasutoceratops next to the Nasutoceratops from Para Bellum, and of course the other Ceratopsians are off to the side here. But you can see that the How Long Good version as well is a bit larger. And then for one final comparison, we have one of the Raptor Rider sets here next to the Ceratopsian sets, and you can see again the raptors are kind of close to the size of the Ceratopsians, though the Ceratopsians are obviously a little bit bigger than we see there for the raptors. So this brand new Conquest Thunder Riders set from Para Bellum is definitely another absolutely awesome model kit from them. I am just so in love with their style and their figures as a whole, because they always come up with really cool, very stylized dinosaurs. But in this case, you know, you've got dinosaurs that are a lot closer to what we would actually look at as being these species, because like when you go back to the raptors definitely had a very unique and stylized look to them, whereas these dinosaurs absolutely look pretty close to what they would actually look like, again, in real life, but they've done such a great job, again, of giving them that, in my opinion, even though it's obviously very fantasy-based, they almost have that sort of like Dinotopia style to them with this round of Ceratopsians with the saddles and everything on them. It just honestly looks amazing, and considering how big of a fan I was of Dinotopia when I was younger growing up, how much I really loved the book and everything, and the series, that just makes me love these Ceratopsians even more. And of course, the fact that they are plastic model kits is absolutely epic, because we just don't get enough of those nowadays, and anytime we get new ones, I'm always excited about it, especially when it comes to these very cool, very unique looking versions. As you move through the course of the figures, they are as highly detailed as you're ever going to find when it comes to dinosaur models. They sport incredible sculpt and fine detail, super crisp fine detail as well. I'm not entirely sure who the sculptor is for the Para Bellum line, but they absolutely deserve a round of applause because they put their all into each and every release and give us some of the coolest looking and most highly detailed models, not just the dinosaurs, models overall, because of course the riders on the back of the Ceratopsians are insanely highly detailed as well, just showing off the muscle definition and the movement of them really nicely in their sort of fighting stance that they are in as our Ceratopsians sort of charge in and are prepared to take down whoever it is that they are fighting against. They've also, of course, chosen 3 very cool Ceratopsians, 2 of which I would say are pretty iconic Ceratopsians with the Styracosaurus and Triceratops. They're absolutely 2 of the more iconic species out there, but then you also have a Nasutoceratops, so I love that they've gone ahead and given us that one as well because it's just not your average Ceratopsian you see too often outside of like the Jurassic World franchise. So I, of course, can appreciate them taking, you know, the super popular species like Triceratops and Styracosaurus and then combining it with a species that just doesn't get enough love like Nasutoceratops. And then again, the paintwork here was done by me. Yours could turn out however you would like. You'd have to paint it up or send it to a paleo artist to paint it up for you. But honestly, they're just so highly detailed. They're so much fun to paint. And it's just such a very fulfilling feeling once you finish something that just has so much to it and you can sit back and look at what you've created basically when it comes to the paint apps. Hopefully mine turned out pretty decent. I don't know for sure, you'll have to let me know, but I'm pretty happy with them. So again, overall an absolutely incredible set from Para Bellum. Again, if you are interested in picking this up, I will include a link in the description to where you can do that, and make sure you check out all of the other incredible models that they have on their store because they have tons of them. And again, check out the playlist here on the channel to see other reviews of some of the other amazing kits that they have out. And also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.